Good. Last evening, I was a judge for the Sandy Point High School, the Charles E. Mills. They had the talented teen and Eagle Lipso competition.
Evil Lips.
Eagle Lipso.
Oh,
Eagle, they say Eagles, done by the Charles E. Mills. And so what they did, they had the competition to, they had, five Calypsonians jam store, and they had five young teenagers vying for the position of the Charles E. Mills secondary school talented teen, the talented teen competition, the national talented teen competition is hosted in St. Kitts during December. And so, a number of schools have already had their shows. We had Sadler's having their show. Strangely enough, I judged that as well. And we had
Why is
Sandy
that
Point
strange?
no, because I'm saying, I'm just saying,
I know, I'm just teasing you.
the shows that these schools that actually had their shows, I was at least able to participate in that capacity. And, these shows tend to go long. And
Yeah.
I said
yeah.
to myself, you know what, I have this 8 o'clock show, I'm going to leave early. But then you're so intrigued by how the results would
I
be.
Get that. I
You
get
stay
that.
there.
But it's good to see. I gotta say, it's nice to see things kind of getting back to normal. Because
Yes.
I remember
I know we were saying that early up in the year that
Yeah.
the schools should have the shows. So I
because
want
that used to be a standard thing where
Yeah.
they have your shows kind of sprinkled throughout the year, and then
Mhm.
those people would go on to the talented teen show
yes,
at Sugar Mass, right?
Yes.
So it's good to see that
Yes.
kind of getting back to normal. So
And so a young girl by the name of Destiny, she won for the talented teen in Sandy Point. The Calypsonian monarch female was, if I'm correct, I remember correctly, is Lady B, And so I want to congratulate all of the teenagers who participated. It was at the Sandy Point Hard Court, and one thing about the Sandy Pointers and the Sandy Point community, they come out and they support. So they had a good crowd down there, good energy, good vibes. I want to say congratulations to the principal, the coordinator, everyone who was instrumental in making sure last night's event was carried out well. I want to say thank you to all of them. And they had sponsors.
what was the turnout like?
I would say you had at least, I would say at least close to 1,000 people.
Why
would
this
say close to
time?
1,000.
Why this time? I mean, it seems like an odd time.
Mhm.
Like I'm assuming school closed for them before, right? Because
Yeah,
I know
school is closed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess this is the time when they could focus now because
you don't want to do it during exam
yeah,
time.
and then
I
remember you
guess.
got the academics. So I guess it's either this time or closer in like January.
And then I guess maybe they figured that they didn't want to clash with culture hour possibly,
Maybe.
because that would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
so get it out of the way. Okay.
But there are some schools who haven't had a competition. I don't know if they're going to have the competition or if they're going to just select a student. Yeah. I mean, that's what they've been doing over the years.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's what was been going on
Yeah.
a lot. They would just select
Yeah.
someone. I would like to see Basti High get back to
Mm.
that.
Yeah, the
you know.
Stormers.
Stormers.
They call Bassett High now the BHS Stormers.
That's for what? Which team? What sport?
No, they have the Virtuals Hawks.
Oh.
They have the Washington Archibald Wildcats. Yeah, these are things that
Oh,
happened
Wildcats. Oh.
after I left as well.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Stormers. I didn't even know
yeah,
that.
so you got the
Yeah.
BHS Storm. So they call them Stormers.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
the
that's nice.
and the Virtuals Hawks and the Eagles Sandy Point. Yeah. Can't remember the others.
Oh,
right now.
Oh, that's where the eagle
Yeah,
thing came
yeah.
from.
So,
So I imagine when they have the talent, and I know the talent teen show was well attended.
Yeah, last year.
'cause my wife and my daughter went, and when they came home, she told me, "Oh, it was." I was like, "Really?"
in fact, I think
So
that
you can
was
imagine, you
a
can imagine
highly
the chanting. You can imagine the chanting
Yeah.
in there, and like,
in fact, I think
Um,
that show was more anticipated than actually the Miss
Than the
Carnival
Miss,
Queen.
yes.
Yeah, a lot of people
yeah.
wanted to go to that show. Yeah, it was full.
Well, that kind of good-natured rivalry alone is enough to get get the venue filled.
And the thing about
You
it, the
know?
girls they advertise well when they did their promos, when they did the introduction, when they did their scenes on the streets or whatever. They had that, as you say, rivalry, and that gave persons the oomph to say, I need to be there to see who's going to
I just
be
had I just had a,
successful.
I just had a crazy thought. Let's say I had somebody like Rukas who performed, and you know how when you go to like a soca concert and they're up there and they say, okay, suppose you say okay, Wildcats here, and then maybe you have two or three, say maybe Smiley and Rukas up there, and then they're kind of pitting themselves,
Yes.
and then you get that thing going. You know how crazy that could be in a good way. I mean.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that
in the crowd, yes.
you could imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine you say Stormers scream and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I mean, I'm all about the Stormers now.
So now you know about the Stormers, yeah.
So you're what's Old Road?
Well, I went to you always getting it wrong though. I went to the Washington Natural High.
Oh yeah. Old Road doesn't. I'm an idiot.
Old Road doesn't have a high school.
Right,
Yeah, the closest one to us in Old Road is the Virtuous High School, the Virtuous Hawks. So yeah. But I attended the Washington Natural High School, Washi Wildcats. Yeah.
And so I went to very I went to the funeral. Well, I told you all about the funeral.
Yeah,
Yesterday. I
how
went
was
to
it?
Spencer Amory. It was good. It always seems weird when people ask.
How was the funeral?
How was the funeral?
Yeah.
I always remember this book I read, right?
Mm-hmm.
This book I read, and there was a part in there where the author was trying to make a point about the character being someone being maybe tending to always say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And being uncomfortable around women and so on, and there was this girl he liked, and then she had to go to a funeral, and then when he met her, he said he goes, it must have been a nice funeral. The author really played up how awkward and ridiculous the line was.
Yes.
So I always think when people ask, I know what they mean, but it's always a strange way to characterize a funeral, because it's never pleasant.
Yeah.
Especially people that you love and and love.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize, Spencer. Listen. There was this I'll show you it afterwards. He was heavily involved in St. Candisie football association.
I
and
think
all
he was
that.
the labor commissioner
Yes.
at one point in time.
Well, I'm just dealing with the football now, because I didn't realize this. Spencer actually created the logo for St. Candisie football. He came up with the mascot, Bobby the Booby. I didn't even know all that. He was the one that apparently set in motion the plan to get football its own building. Football house on Lozak Road.
Yes.
Came up with the logo for that. See what it says?
Yeah.
One house, one family, one house, one goal. SKNFA.
Yeah.
I did not know all of this, and so it was,
Yeah.
I remember I told you I spoke to him like a week before.
The things you learn.
Yeah.
And condolences again to the family, loved ones, everyone who, experiencing that loss.
Yes. Oh, and apparently they said that he passed. Peter Jenkins gave a. I don't know if that was the official eulogy, but do you have more than one eulogy at the funeral, or how does that work?
I've never seen
in
practice more than one eulogy.
He was saying that the day that he died was the day when I think. I'm not sure. Someone can correct me. It might be the first day we played a Gold Cup game or something like that.
Wow.
And Peter Jenkins was saying that, one of his dreams all along was that St. Candisie get to the Gold Cup.
Wow.
Because it's like a whole other level of football. So it was, Funerals are never fun. I hate funerals.
Yeah.
And it's worse when it's people you know really, really well. this is the first funeral I've been to in a long time, actually. Yeah, so that's
Well, there's been so many during this time.
yeah.
It's really hard for you. I mean, anyone in general not to attend one right now. It seems like so many people are dying, and unexpectedly, persons that you don't expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know death is certain, but when it comes, it always comes with, the pains.
But you know what we're gonna do? Perfect palate cleanser. Figuratively speaking, of
Yes.
course.
It's all
let's
about
take a
the
quick
food,
break.
ain't it, Jam?
Yeah, no food. No food. No food. Well, yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, I see what you did there. But okay, let's take a quick break.
And I see what you didn't do. You didn't bring us food this morning.
Yeah, I certainly didn't. So what else is new? Okay, I'm coming back. Let's take a quick break.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Here are your Hartford's Value Mart IGA specials from June 29th through July 12th. Now our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Almond Breeze, almond milk, just $9.99. Kellogg's Cornflakes, $21.99. Planters cheese balls and curls, $9.99. Essential Everyday Grated Parmesan, just $11.99. Hot Pockets, $14.99. IGA and Essential Everyday Canned Fruit, just $8.99. And now, our very low weekly value deals. Essential Everyday Ketchup, $4.99. Malta-Meal cereals, $13.99. Ensure drinks, $8.99. IGA and Essential Everyday Mac and Cheese, just $2.79. Essential Everyday Freezer Bags, $8.99. Stay fresh with Equaline Mouthwash, $9.99. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en Value Mart.
Everywhere I go, it's showtime at the Apollo.
And we're back. It's 8:34, and we have lots of things to talk about. It's Friday, TGIF, Friday, July 7, and okay, let's see. Let's see what's going on. That's worth mentioning. There were a couple things yesterday that I wanted to. A couple things yesterday that we never got to. It's such a pity, There are all these stories
There are many stories, but I think because we had the 2 interviews yesterday.
Okay, so where are we now?
You wanted to share a story?
Yeah. So apparently, Caribbean Airlines, as you know,
Yes,
um,
yes.
they're gonna they're gonna start a route from one from
Yeah.
Trinidad, Antigua St. Kitts, and Barbados St. Kitts. So that's good.
Which is really good. You know,
Yeah. And they bought smaller planes, but apparently I was told, because when you think about it, didn't really. I remember thinking, it can't be that they run those jets between Trinidad and Tobago, because it's not really
yeah.
cost effective from a fuel standpoint. So someone had told me that no, they do have smaller planes. Apparently they use those 72-seater ATR
Okay.
planes, and so those are what they're going to be using
You know,
for.
I wish that this was happening during 2010 to 2015, you know, because I had to, when I go to school for UE, especially to go Jamaica, you had to go, well, if you're going Caribbean Airlines, you had to take a LIAT and then take a Caribbean Airlines, where most persons could have done just the Caribbean Airlines to Jamaica or the Caribbean Airlines to Trinidad or wherever, you know?
So that's pretty good. And
Yeah.
I guess they must have been scared into action by maybe what's that Turks and Caicos airline called again? Caribbean Airways.
Oh,
You know.
I'm just happy for it. I think it's well needed.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it just increases the accessibility, especially considering that LIAT has, you know.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Liat is all but dead as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. You have 3 planes, and you continue doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So
And Caribbean Airlines is quite efficient. The times that I did fly on Caribbean Airlines, I always enjoyed the experience. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
we just had someone calling. So caller, you can call back if you have something to share. So anything else that that piqued your interest?
Well, just yesterday I saw some news where it is that a petition or a police officer in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
That was one of the things I had
Petition
sent.
Heritage.
Yeah.
He was shot and killed in the line of duty. So, yeah, just sympathies to the family, and that's just really, really terrible.
That just seems so American, huh?
Yeah, I know.
You know, he lives in an American territory, so yeah.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
It's sad, but if you're gonna be real, it's not really surprising. You know.
It says man on bail allegedly kills detective. Top cop calls for reform. And this is in relation to the story. It's on Loop News, and it says a callous and cowardly act is how U.S. Virgin Islands Police Commissioner Ray Martinez described yesterday's shooting death of Detective Delbert Phipps. He apparently was a 7-year veteran with the Virgin Islands Police Department, and he was shot while another officer was responding to a report that a heavily armed man had been seen walking in an area known as Jayad. Phipps was 42 years old. Phipps, 42, was taken to Roy Leicester Regional Medical Center where he died while receiving treatment. Wow. Yeah, so sad.
Yeah. Let's take this call and see what's... Okay. Island T, you're on.
Good morning to two of you.
Hey.
Good morning, Culture. What's up?
Hey,
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yes.
What happened? You jump up Candisie in the middle, squeeze up your shoulder.
Nah, she couldn't make it today.
She's busy,
Yeah, she had a lot of... She has a business, so she has a lot of work today, so she couldn't...
I thought what the two of you jump up Candisie and mash up your shoulder.
No.
Okay, I want to say welcome home, our sugar boys.
Yes.
And great congratulations to them from me.
Yes.
They have done well. As far as I'm concerned, they have won a medal.
Indeed. I mean, their achievement should not go unrecognized because they have reached the highest level that we have reached so far in the game.
And
That's right.
You know one thing, actually, God, what's his name? Why is the name this escaping me? The coach, he was at the funeral yesterday, right?
Oh.
So I congratulated him afterwards. And You know, when you think about it, and I told him, I said, as far as I'm concerned, I consider this a small victory for St. Candisie because we've never made it to the Gold Cup. And culture, you realize this happened under a St. Cansie's coach.
Exactly.
All those times when we had people from Brazil and the UK and all these other people.
Yes.
We never got this far.
I'm going to tell you something about a coach. A coach has to look at the participant from head to the sole of his feet. Check everything. Check his breathing. His the quick reflexes of the arms or legs. And the weight of their legs. It depends on the sport that they're into. Because heavy legs cannot spin a bicycle pedal as fast as light legs. And those people who come from big countries, yes, they have a lot of experience, yes. But we, as local coach, can reach the experience too. Because they're absorbing like our local coach. But here my thing now, my final. I think before we send any team overseas, it doesn't matter what sport it is, we should have some comments from the spectators when they're going to select, let's say, the first 30. And out of the 30, they're going to select the final 15. So when they select the 30, then people in the stand should say, okay, take out the one there and put in this other one here because of observation. And don't just pick and go with one person decide, well, okay, this is the team and I alone have the final decision in picking it. No, I don't believe in that. Because what Jamsto did not observe, Azard, you observe it. And what you all, the two of you never observe, I observe it. So therefore, every one of us should have an opinion on the selection of those people. But you know what medal we won? The medal of effort. We are great.
Yes.
I always say, we are small, but we are determined. I ain't from where them up bring Talawa. Me know nothing about Talawa.
Talawa, that terminology is from Jamaica.
Oh, me know about terminology. Pushing kids. We are determined, small. And you don't have to have a big axe to chop down the biggest tree, a little axe, but that's how you do it.
But you know, I always thought that there was something vaguely absurd about us saying that, right? And then hearing the Jamaicans say it, knowing that we get it from the Jamaicans, and then you're like, hey, 3 million people versus 54,000. Who's small and who's Talawa, really? You know? Yeah. I mean, I know it's all relative in terms of.
I know, because when you look at it, Jamaica compares itself to the United States and say, we only have 2.7 million and you guys have 300 million. So it's always relative.
To culture's point, we need to come up with our own terminology.
I sticking with what I grew up with and what I know. If they want me to use their twang, we use mine too. So it will be balanced 50-50. Okay.
And I'm sure that would even happen.
They're
gonna use their own twang.
Oh yeah, And I can tell you something. You could look at the selection of the cricket team, what they call West Indies. As far as I'm concerned, the West Indies cricket team is only made up of those big boys. 4 big boys. I ain't calling the name. You know who they are. But when it comes to SID, you know what SID mean?
No.
Small Island Syndrome.
Okay.
We are not seen to be recognized. And we are the warriors of the West Indies. Check back from when our Leeward Island boys make the breakthrough. Start with Willett and then come down to Viv Richards.
So culture, what do you attribute this new bottom to?
The Ian bottom?
No, this new bottom as in this new low for West Indies cricket. I mean, as bad as they've been over the, I mean, I don't really know much about cricket, but I know enough to know that as bad as they've been, I don't think they've ever not made it, right?
Well, I'm going to tell you, they've been so up and down that I can't even remember what they made last week. But they should be paid according to performance. That should be, because they don't know the money issue. And once they hear the name and the team, that's all they want to hear too. And the third thing, well, you can't tell somebody what to choose to wear on them, but it seems like the glowy what they got around the neck. And if they go down and a ball that was not supposed to make a hook shot at it, and they're going to make a hook shot and they're out. You know, it's nothing, no sign on the face to say, well, then, boy, look what I did now, boy. I saw him. No, it's smile coming back up to the stand with. And when a competitor loses, the spectators, they feel the hurt more than the competitor, you know. Because the competitor know what he or she did to cause them to lose. But the spectators don't know what they were thinking why they lose. It could be physical, it could be skill. So when they lose, the spectators got a load of argument. He should have do this, she should have do that. That is what they should have do. That is to show you how people feel. That's why when you see I used to race in the park bicycle, oh, you never want to lose nothing. Because I don't want to hurt the spectators' feeling. They come in there because they got confidence in me. And if I hurt them, man, I may as well go out in the sea and jump over. And if I swim back, I good. Because I have to live with those who I hurt. So I always try to make sure they feel good and they're satisfied. Let me bear the pain.
Yeah.
I'll give somebody a time to come in and make the comment, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Oops, sorry. Yeah. Okay, a little comic relief. This is something I sent you guys this morning. A woman found out her boyfriend was cheating. You know what a Fitbit is, right? Yeah, Fitbit. For those who don't know, a Fitbit is a smartwatch, a brand of smartwatch. When his Fitbit smartwatch showed a spike at 2 a.m.
Oh.
She had synced the Fitbit watch to get hers and his together. And she got a notification that he burned 500 calories at 2 a.m. So I guess, and then apparently she found out that he was cheating. So, well, at least look on the bright side. He used up 500 calories. So,
Well, and I was going to say, who said that he didn't go for a morning run?
well, I'm sure they didn't give any more information, but apparently, I'm sure she probably did some further research. And, I mean, go running at 2 a.m. in the morning? Come on. Especially maybe if he said, well, he was going to the club or he was going out with his boys or whatever, you know, so. Wow. It's pretty funny.
But then, maybe he was running away from someone.
Oh, come on. Come on now. Come on now.
I don't know.
Come on now.
But I mean, 500 calories. Interesting. Maybe she look at the location too. Maybe she could sync location as well.
Yeah. So, and what else? What else is going on in this crazy world that I want to talk about?
You know,
there was. Let's see.
well, let me say this then.
Yeah,
The
go ahead.
CARICOM leaders agreed to deal for free movement of people by 2024. So this is an article, and it says, "I believe that the founding fathers are smiling from heaven," were the words uttered by the Caribbean Community Chairman and Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerritt, as he announced last evening that leaders have agreed to having free movement for all categories of people by March next year. The announcement was met with cheers from the Caribbean leaders and diplomatic representatives present at the Hyatt Hotel in Port of Spain, Trinidad, for the closing news conference of the 45th regular meeting of CARICOM heads of government, which coincided with the 50th anniversary of the Treaty of Chaguaramas being signed. Obviously, there are some legal issues that we have to examine, And we have given our legal people some months to examine those legal issues to ensure that they come to us by the 30th of March to take a definite position on this, Skerrit said. Of course, we have this new security agreement in place already that governments can benefit from, but we believe that it is the fundamental part of the integration architecture. And at 50, we could not leave Trinidad and Tobago and not speak about the core of the individual movement, that is, people's ability to move freely within the Caribbean community. And I think we would have served the community well at this meeting by arriving at this decision. Currently, university graduates, nurses, teachers, media workers, musicians, agricultural workers, and private security officers are among the 12 categories of people eligible to seek employment in any country that forms part of the Caribbean single market economy. Skerrit said that the expansion of free movement will not only extend to Haiti, as Prime Minister Dr. Henry asked for the French-speaking island to be left out of the arrangement due to... Okay, let me see. Skerrit said that the expansion of the free movement will not extend to Haiti.
Yeah, it will not extend to Haiti, yeah.
I was making sure I heard that right.
Because I had read ahead and I thought... Actually, I wasn't sure I heard wrong. Because I was like, wait, did Azard read that wrong?
Yeah, that's what
did
I
hear wrong?
Yes, so it would not extend to Haiti. Wow, okay. Due to the humanitarian, social, security, and political issues, yeah.
So, what you as a lawyer, what do you think, reading between the lines, what do you think some of those legal issues they might have to iron out, aside from the fact that they're leaving out Haiti?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first and foremost, when I thought about the Immigration Act, the Caribbean countries will have different Immigration Act in which persons who come to their territories. I could assume that they would not be the same, identical. They may be similar, but not identical.
I mean, I know. For example, the Antiguans are not as welcoming as in terms of just trying the door open to. And I hope we're not going to be going down that road where we just throw out the door and let everybody come as they like.
And while I was reading this, though, remember I read an article. I think there was this week that says Trinidad and Tobago. Something about when the court made the decision about the migrants. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, they would have to make whatever provisions.
Oh, I meant to ask you about that. That case here where they just basically, where we're acting like Texas now. We just let people go where they want and stuff. Well, so what happens? They're still going to have a hearing where it's decided?
Well, based on my information back then when I did my investigation, it seemed as though that there wouldn't be no hearing, that they are granted this.
So they can just stay
freedom.
here. They can just stay here.
It seemed like based on the political.
So we're in Texas now.
Based on the political situation in Haiti, it seemed that the Prime Minister had just given them the okay, and rather not to go through the court process for them to.
No, so answer the question. Are we Texas now? We just let people come. We just let people come in and throw up your hands. Just do what you like.
I don't know, jam. I don't know. Wait, jamming. I don't know, jamming. Remember the man last week who called you jamming. Yeah. So I mean, I think there was a timeline. Remember, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had either 60 or 90 days. I'm not.
Why do we always do this though?
Because remember when we were here discussing it,
we're always more why is it we're always more charitable to foreigners than we are to St. Kittians and divisions? How do you just let people go and just throw up your hands and go, do as you like? That's basically what they did.
We'll see I guess as time progresses, we'll see the outcome of what happened, the decision that was made. Yes. Because remember, we had it
should change the name of the country to St. Texas and Nevis.
Remember, we had the attorney who represented them here, and he was fighting strongly for their inclusion.
Who?
Remember
Craig. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes. But then there's a whole other subtext there that we're not going to get into.
Yes.
So
I mean, the CARICOM, they're looking at free movement of people. Let's see how that works out. I mean, I think that they should concentrate too on making sure travel is more affordable within the territories, because it's cheaper to go to the United States and Miami than to go to some of these Caribbean countries. So
apparently you've seen the perennial problem of there being an air traffic, airlift problem in the Caribbean, and it could be that it's more expensive than we realize because you have all these airlines that have done it over the years, and some have gone, and some seem to be limping along. So maybe it's more expensive than we think. But so let's just hope for the best with Caribbean Airways and Caribbean Airlines. Let's take this call. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Mr. Mahon.
When it comes to freedom of movement, it's not throwing back the doors and welcoming everybody, right? We're talking about a particular region in the Caribbean. It's not the whole Caribbean. And there is this tendency to believe that people who come here are people who are going to take away our jobs and do as they like, etc. People who come here, I think, are really in search of a better life for they and their families. You realize how much money they would send back out, okay? And if those opportunities that they're in search of are not realized, they're going somewhere else. What we have to be careful of is that that web of safety nets that we have instituted, okay, all those social programs, etc., that those do not extend to them as soon as they come here. That is what we have to be careful of, that those belong to essentially citizens and divisions. If you want access to them, then you would have had to put in some time here, whatever that time is, and that time should be years, not months. Okay, so that we don't end up having to take care of a whole lot of people because the word gets around that we have good safety nets and just come here and you'll be fine. Okay, so I just wanted to caution against this idea, because I think it was mentioned some time back as one of the reasons why the Federation, for instance, failed. That larger countries felt that the smaller ones would be a drag on them.
It turns out it's the other way around, this is the ironic part. No one foresaw that, but no one seems to think about the fact that we're barely 50,000 people, and we were talking about countries with poverty and deprivation off the chains, and he's talking about Jamaicans, Guyanese, all the, maybe Haiti, and you could throw in a few others. And these people can swamp us. Every single one of these countries can swamp us.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
I'm sorry,
they would
I
not swamp us. People are not going to come here just because they want to swamp us.
No, I'm not saying
right?
that. Well, obviously, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that this idea that just because we've always gone to other countries, we should just throw up our hands and let people come here and overrun us.
But I don't think anybody is saying that either, that they'd come and overrun. No,
I'm saying, but I don't think it should. I'm sorry, I don't think it should be so easy. I don't think it should be so easy for people to come. I'm sorry. That's how I see it.
You don't think
it should be? It
so
should not.
Then what's the point of having free movement?
Well, listen. CARICOM is the whole CARICOM thing. As far as I'm concerned, for all these decades, it's just been a joke. So we may as well just admit the fact that it doesn't work.
It's a joke?
Yeah, it's a joke.
I don't
because
think they've made
look at the EU.
Most of us would have hoped, but I wouldn't say it's a joke.
I've been told that the EU was based on the West Indies Federation, and they've evolved it to an admirable level where it works on all kinds of levels for them. We haven't been able to do that because of our insularity, figurative and literal, and I feel like let's just stop fooling ourselves and admit the fact that we don't want a bunch of people in our countries, at least illegally, and we don't want people coming willy-nilly, and we just apply proper policing.
You're lumping everybody in the same bracket, right? When in fact, what you're trying to do is
I think
is
maybe
earmark
perhaps
a certain group of people, which essentially, generally speaking, is the English-speaking Caribbean.
I think perhaps Jamsa's gripe is when you have a large number of persons coming in illegally and still being able to stay here. I think maybe that is what he's talking about.
But if that is happening, it's because our economy can do that, can allow that. Because, as I said, if they don't get the opportunities, they're going somewhere else.
But should they do
right?
so?
And if it goes to the extent that it becomes a problem, then you can bet your life that citizens will be up and divisions will be up in arms against it. And whoever government is in that permits that is going to face the backlash. So what I'm saying is kind of you got to kind of take some risks, leave it to market forces, see how things pan out before you just get up and decide that.
So you're saying
we don't want nobody else here.
So you're saying it's okay whether they get here legally or illegally once it is that they're not a threat or burden.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, what CARICOM is trying to do now, it seems, is to have freedom of movement, regardless of what your profession is.
Yeah.
I think at one point, it started out being that you had, once you're a graduate of the University of the West Indies, you could go and work anywhere. Then it progressed to certain occupations, journalists, for instance, and now it's going to the other level. And I'm saying that that is to me, that is the natural progression of a more closer union, because in the final analysis, you either believe, as somebody put it, we either swim together or drown separately, right? In the final analysis, right? So I don't think we should be. I know people don't like the word xenophobia, but I don't think really. I think that. Influential people like yourselves should really be promoting this thing as a vision for the future that would benefit all of us, okay, rather than, perpetuate the insularity type complexes that we have. That you don't think? And by the way, Jamster,
hey.
There are lots of things we can knock the U.S. for.
Yeah.
Right? Suggesting that violence is so American is not very complimentary.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't intended to be complimentary. It was intended. I was intending to just point to the truth. You have a shooting every minute almost. That's the point I was making.
Okay, well...
I mean, when was the last time you heard a policeman being killed here in the line of duty? That's the point I was making.
No, it's comparing apples and oranges, though, when you look at it that way.
That's precisely my point.
I think what America brings to the world is so much more important than the good that it brings, so much more important than the bad. Far outweighs
No,
the bad.
of course. But so we shouldn't talk about the bad? That's what you're saying?
I guess the comment this morning kind of suggested, because I've heard what sounded like American sentiment before.
No, I was just talking about the fact that someone of Kittitian heritage got killed in the line of duty in a U.S.
Yeah,
territory.
I know what
a
you
very,
were talking
a
about.
very,
but
a very American trope. I don't see what's wrong with that. I didn't say anything wrong. Why this discomfort with the inconvenient truth? Oh, okay, I know. It's because it's inconvenient and it's uncomfortable. I understand. Okay, that's cool.
No. All I'm pointing out is that every nation has its faults and its,
of course,
its weaknesses and its strengths.
Exactly.
Right?
We were talking about our football team getting to the Gold Cup, and I talked about the affirming part of that. Even though we ended up getting our behinds handed to us, but I talked about the affirming aspect of that, the fact that we've never gotten this far, and the fact that we got there with a Kittitian coach. So every issue provides an opportunity to talk about the good or the bad that issue happens to characterize.
Yeah, but to characterize, to talk about the bad and make it seem as if it is unique to a particular country. It's almost like profiling, isn't it?
But profiling has its practical purposes, doesn't it? To some degree.
Azard, as a lawyer, do you agree that profiling is good?
I don't.
You ought not profile. Yes, you ought not profile. That could be prejudicial.
Exactly.
But guys,
I'm
going to throw this in. Congratulations to Her Excellency Jacinth Henry Martin, who now serves she has been appointed as the ambassador of St. Kitts and Nevis to the United States of America for the second time. So.
Oh, it's the second time?
Yeah,
okay.
This based on this article that I'm reading. So congratulations.
Well, by the way, you mentioned about the transportation in the region.
Yeah.
They did discuss that, apparently, right? And Rowley is apparently want to go back to the days of the Federal Palm and Federal Maple, where you have some sort of sea transport, not the fast ferry type, which he thinks is expensive to maintain, to run and maintain, but how it was before with the slow ships moving throughout the Caribbean. And when we think of this region as being one of the regions where you have the cruise lines operate essentially without any local competition, you have to wonder if that isn't a good way to go. Why can't we have not the humongous cruise ships like they have, but certainly something, one of the medium-sized ones, that plow the Caribbean. And he's thinking for both cargo and passengers. And that was a model that worked before, and I don't see any reason why we can't. As a matter of fact, that should be the next project for CARICOM. For CARICOM. Where you have a Caribbean cruise line staffed by all Caribbean people.
Actually, that's a good idea.
Given the unique type of Caribbean experience, as opposed to the one that we have now.
That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think.
But high time that happens.
Yeah, but the ferry.
We talk about attracting more cruise ships, and we go all out to go overboard to try and make sure that we attract as many foreign cruise lines as possible, and they basically bring in effect they are essentially hotels that are supplanted from some overseas country into the Caribbean because you know how they operate. Well, it's time. I think it's time that we have that. We didn't make it in the airline industry in terms of having a Caribbean airline, so to speak. I mean, the new one that's coming. Not intended to disparage them in any way, but is that Trinidadian essentially? Cal?
I'm not, it could be.
Or Jamaican. Someone.
It could be. I think I think if I had to choose between one or the other, I think it might be Trinidadian. I don't know, can't remember.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like it'd be
Well,
more
now
Trinidadian.
we seem to be going again the route of them because Antigua, I guess, not giving up yet, and then you have Inter-Caribbean coming in.
And
you
Inter
have all
Caribbean is
sorts of-
what is hugely supported by Barbados.
Inter-Caribbean? No, actually, I think it's headquartered in Turks and Caicos.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
It's a private company, I think. Not a national. I don't think it's a national carrier. But they've been spreading their wings. Okay, and you have all these.
Also,
airlines
I just
coming in.
googled it. Right, Caribbean Airlines jointly owned by the people of Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. So I guess
Oh,
yes.
okay. So there's some corporation there.
Yes.
That's
Headquartered in Trinidad and Tobago, with an operational base in Jamaica. Yes. Yes.
right. Well, and that apparently is the only international airline operating now, or is there one in Guyana as well? Not sure.
Not sure. Yeah.
But we can't seem to get it right with the airline industry. Maybe we should try the sea.
But I mean,
the
Caribbean
standard.
Airlines have been going for quite some time, haven't they? Haven't they? I think they probably have. Let me see.
I guess after Air Jamaica and
Yeah.
because at one time didn't Butch Stewart own that the Jamaican airline or something like that? I can't remember.
Okay,
exactly.
so it commenced operation in January 2007. So roughly around
2007, right?
So roughly
Yeah.
around 16 years. That's to me not bad considering it was between Trinidad.
But there was something else which, and actually I think it was aired on your show some time back about what they decided to do with Haiti. In answer to one of the reporters' questions when they had the press conference, they basically said that what they're trying to do now was, in fact, get the UN to support an African contingent to go to secure Haiti in advance of elections and those things. Which I think was suggested some time ago. Because for one thing, it would be less of a cultural clash if some French-speaking Africans go there for the peacekeeping. Obviously, the CARICOM can't do it, but they can definitely advocate for this approach. The UN backs it, and the bigger countries, Canada, France, and the US, resource it in terms of the logistics and so on, and at least get something going. So at least there seemed to be some kind of movement there. And this a whole idea, too, that CARICOM can help with the training aspect of things. They can't help with the foot soldiers, so to speak, literally having foot soldiers on the ground there. But they can help with training, whether the police forces, the RSS could get involved in wherever the training facility is, and train the police forces. Our civil service, although not the best in the world, we always complain, but it's far better than what they have than the dysfunction that they have in Haiti. So we can provide some training there as well. Those are concrete things that can make a difference. So it was really good to hear that they weren't just throwing up their hands, to use James's term, on Haiti. It's high time to try to do something to alleviate the suffering there. Yeah, all right.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Yeah, so, okay, we are hoping to have on here with us the incoming chancellor for the Dalhousie University, and he is of Kittian heritage. He is actually the son of Paul Sotwell, so we're hoping to have him here and have a brief discussion with him about his experience, his background, and what he's looking to achieve. And so we're going to hold the fort. But while we hold the fort, we're going to look at some articles. And as we were talking about Caribbean Airlines, I see Loop News has it saying Caribbean Airlines unveils new route to St. Kitts. It says Caribbean Airlines has unveiled its newest route to St. Kitts, subject to the approval of the Trinidad and Tobago Civil Aviation Authority. And so, from July 24th, the flights will operate a total of 5 times weekly on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, providing convenient travel options between Port of Spain, Barbados, Antigua, and St. Kitts. The network expansion is one of the core elements of the airline's Welcome Home campaign and aligns with the company's vision for seamless connectivity and increased accessibility throughout the Caribbean. And so, yes, it is increasing our the number of aircrafts we have here between the Caribbean. And so, yes, we welcome that flight. I'm sure a lot of persons are welcoming the increase that we are seeing in options here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and to experience, across the Caribbean, and to ensure that things go well. So we have here the U.S. Secretary of State speaks to CARICOM on climate change policies. We're experiencing this extreme heat. And so the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, said the United States is expanding assistance to help governments manage the financial risks of disasters. And speaking at the 45th CARICOM meeting on Wednesday, so the U.S. Secretary of State was at the CARICOM heads-up meeting. And so he spoke about the climate change and outlining steps by his government to address climate change. He says we recognize as the world's second largest emitter, that being the United States, and the number one emitter historically, currently the second biggest emitter. We have a unique responsibility, the United States, to address the problem. And so he would have been there. So we want to welcome our special guest. He is online. He's listening to us now. He is the, can I say Chancellor-elect or Chancellor? Elect means that you were elected. But I mean, the new appointed, yes.
Appointed.
Yes. So you're already serving in the position.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
No, actually, the investiture or the onboarding is set for the convocation in November.
Okay.
And that's when will be fully the first act, actually.
Well, we want to say congratulations here from WINNFM and, of course, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to see another Kittitian doing well overseas and representing our country in the capacity that you are doing. I mean, Dalhousie is one of the top universities in Canada, and it goes beyond saying that, this is evidence that our people can go anywhere and achieve what they want to achieve and make the people of St. Kitts and Nevis proud.
No, thank you. And Dalhousie is one of the top institutions, not only in Canada but across the world. It's a 200-year institution, so it's a proud moment to have been asked and be appointed to the position. But let me just quickly before we get deeper into this, let me just offer to the country condolences to Dr. Drew for the loss of his dad. And Mick was one of the folks that I grew up with around my time, my generation in the music sector. And also to the loss more recently of the former Governor General Tapley Seaton, who was in school at the time. I know as the country mourns those times, is a time to comfort all of the people. And Might I add, thanks to all of the emails and calls that have been getting from St. Kitts friends and families who have reached out to recognize this time as well.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Thank you. Could you tell me your experience, and for persons who are listening, could you tell me your background, your experience? What are some of the steps that would have led to this accomplishment, you think?
yeah, well, I think most people would know me from my last name, Southwell. My dad was Paul Southwell, and I spent a lot of my formative years at his feet. I believe that I probably was, as we go to our family, our clan, I probably was the most understated one because most of my brothers, all three of my brothers, Poisey, Rebab, and Shakespeare, played football on the football team, so everyone knew them. And I was the only one who didn't make the soccer team. And I see that team is doing quite well right now. I played cricket, which I would attribute to the other side of my family, which is the Sergeants of Nevis, which is a powerful family, and Livingston Sergeant, who's my uncle, was a good cricketer as well. So my roots are I spent a lot of time in Nevis as a youngster, visiting those families as well. So for me, at around 18, 19 years old, I was a student teacher at the Sandy Point High School. And at the time, like every other young man in St. Kitts, we were looking at medicine, law, engineering, those pursuits. I had gone to Kayville for a year, sort of a transitional year, and found it difficult being still in the Caribbean for many, many reasons. And when I came home that's for summer break, I recall the late Dr. Sebastian and my dad were on the veranda, speaking about their children and how do they get them to perform and so on. And it was in that conversation when it came up that Dr. Sebastian suggested that he had a son in Nova Scotia, and maybe it's a good place to send Rustam. I think I was probably creating enough embarrassment for my family in the Caribbean, so they're willing to send me off. And Dr. Sebastian, as you know, he studied at Mount A for his undergrad work, but he's a Dalhousie graduate. He did medicine at Dal Med School. So fortuitously, that's how I landed in 1972.
Wow.
In Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow.
So
1972.
Yeah. So spent 50 years here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying 1972 is quite a long time ago. Yes.
Yeah, so some people think I've aged well, but
because when you look at the picture, I wasn't, when you said 1972 and that's when you went, I'm thinking that's 51 years ago almost. Yeah. Wow. So how has your experience been up there? You tell us about you leaving St. Kitts, about being a student teacher here at the Sandy Point High School, then going to Canada. Tell us about the Canada experience.
Yeah, so landed in the fall in September at the time, and did a year in Mount St. Vincent before transferring to Dalhousie. A bit of a cultural shock. It is a white country, and back then, there wasn't a lot. The black population was very isolated in one spot, and my own career took me on many fronts, because as a young man in my early 20s. My dad probably had more confidence in me than I had in myself. So after a year or two, suddenly I became what I'm calling an instant parent. So all of a sudden, the four of my sisters were in town, and I became a surrogate dad
to ensure that
you
take care of them.
Yeah. So, well, do everything really. One was in high school, and yeah, so it was it, instant maturity and what comes with parenting at a very young age, and eventually, I sort of had a career change. I thought I'll move into business of some sort, and my path moved to that way. My wife, Gracie Hanley, who is a netball player on the St. Kitts team, when they won the championship, she moved up to Canada sometime in the mid 70s. And as it turned out, my career then moved into business, which it is an odd thing as you go through your life and your life experiences. Didn't really realize what it was, how I landed there, but as a young man in St. Kitts, I was doing things like that I didn't consider to be business acumen, like with the arts festival, for example. My friend Gene Howell and the late Panis Manchester, we actually negotiated with Daddy and Mrs. Kelsick to put on what we were calling a rock concert. I remember June Libert, where we got all the bands and thousands of people to show up on the old grammar school grounds for a huge concert. And there's the three of us who had arranged that. So I didn't realize we were doing those type of business things at the time. We had a garden, and I used to take the veggies down to the market and sell them both retail and wholesale to the other vendors. And then when I'd get home, my mother would take the money from me and bank it, and it really she was banking it.
Yes.
So those are the kind of business things that you were doing without realizing what it was. And eventually, I actually got into with Cara operations with the restaurant sector, helped them to grow their businesses in the mall, which got me into Harvey's hamburger franchise.
Okay.
That's the Canadian equivalent of McDonald's and those guys. So I did that for many years. And when we were challenged with that, we got into business development. They were looking for someone to do some work in the inner city, in the Black communities, to help people who had interest in self-employment.
Okay.
And I set that up, and that's where I got spotted for the Black Business Initiative to implement that program in 1996. Actually, it's kind of funny how things go around. That task force. There was a lady from Jamaica, Grace White. She's since passed, who was the head of the task force. But Tony Ross, who is a Kittitian, he was on that task force as well. Dolly Williams, John Madison, and Joan Jones, who has also passed away at this point. So those five guys wrote the playbook, and I was the first staff member to actually come in and set that up. So if you fast forward now, after thousands of employees and hundreds of companies being started, and millions and millions of sales for these companies that were started, you now see that the model that we had created is the Black entrepreneurship model that's been now done across Canada with the FACE Coalition, of which I'm the vice chair. And the federal government has invested over $200+ million in Black entrepreneurship because of what was created in Nova Scotia.
Russell, let me ask you a question. In our remaining time, being a Kittitian in that position at that university, do you do any special outreach for Caribbean students and St. Kitts Nevis students? And then you can also tell us if you have any St. Kitts Nevis students there at the moment, and the Caribbean students.
Yeah, there've always been a fair amount of Kittian who have come through, whether to Dalhousie or St. Mary's. I don't know if you know, Halifax is a university town. There's about 5 universities around, and so and many of them have been to my home, including Shine Sharina. She's been
Yeah,
she's been,
that much I know. Yeah.
been to the house. Um, so one of the things with the chancellor is, apart from the ceremonial duties of the convocations, is to be ambassadorial. And I suspect that that was one thing that made it easy to select me, in sense of having looking out for other countries, because the foreign students pay elevated rates to have strategies and supports and those, and be inclusive in that community. So I would expect that would be one of the roles. It's clearly written in the objectives of a chancellor, is ceremonial and ambassadorial to the university.
Yeah.
So that's certainly one of the things I would have. And I do get spontaneous outreach from folks who know me and know I'm here, and when they're in town. Not that they want to see you very often, because you might know the appearance, but yeah, so there would be an opportunity to direct folks and help it. I know Dalhousie with the late Dr. Oden used to do some telemedicine with St. Kitts and so on, and I know when Prime Minister Dew called to congratulate me at the time, we spoke briefly about maybe those are the type of things, especially now with what's happening in the healthcare in various countries around the world. Those are the kind of things that we can use to leverage as well. So I would certainly expect that, and I'll do what I can. It is a broad mandate, but it is an influential and a prestigious position to hold at this time.
It definitely is. And it's good to see that someone from St. Kitts and Nevis can be seen and respected in such a manner to be appointed at such a position.
Well, I personally was in shock. I'm a very average person, and I think one of the comments I made when I said I was surprised is that you don't realize that the work you do is being noticed, right? With the things that you're involved with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your plans? Could you? We know it's a ceremonious position. We know you are likened to an ambassador of the school. Could you briefly outline some of the responsibilities you will have as chancellor, and what some of the plans are, some of the hope and vision that you wish to take Dalhousie in your capacity?
Yeah. I mean, so it's a position and a good opportunity at the senior level to influence, right? Because even though ceremonial is the most senior ceremonial person in the institution. This institution is over 200 years old. As I said, there's only been 9 chancellors. There's not even 10. I'm the 9th one.
Wow.
So the 8th before me, and none of them were black. Right?
Oh wow.
So it tells you that the role is transitioning in terms of the terms. Folks would have had to spend more than 20 years in there. So with that, you become automatically you are on the board of governors of the college as an ex officio person, but that gives you a chance to input the strategic direction, vision, mission, and passion to it. Dalhousie have cause to be proud of the things that they've done. They've done a TYP program, which was to help Black youth to get access to the university as a support entry system. They have the Indigenous Black and Mi'kmaq, which is also targeting the Indigenous people and the historic Black community in Nova Scotia. The African Nova Scotian community has been here for over 400 years. And the business sector as well as there's a department of African Nova Scotian Affairs and the J.R. Johnson Chair. So they've done those inclusive type of strategies well. It's obvious that there's much still to be done. you ask, my own thing is to have conversations to find out what are the issues of influence that we can do. It would be anticipated that because I'm Black, that they expect that you'll be doing most of the needs on that, which definitely will be elevated as a priority. But there are other issues as well. There are other issues that would come up that is current, social issues, as well as I'm not an academic, but as a community person, the impact in the community in terms of inclusion and stuff as well. So.
Okay. So I want to thank you, Mr. Saltwell, for...
Rustam is good.
Thank you, Rustam. I want to thank you. Of course, this is our first interview here with you on Island Tea, but certainly doesn't have to be the last. And so we would engage with you as time goes on, and we hope that you reach out to us if anything is happening that you find is significant and, people of the Sinkis and Nevis would love.
Okay. No, and thank you for the connection, and thank I know my friend Shine for doing this. Really do appreciate it. We connected to home. I should be there in August for the celebration for the netball, so I'll have a chance to see some of you in person.
Well, please come by.
That would be great.
Let Shine know that you're here so we can have you in studio.
Yes.
Okay, so I really enjoyed this, guys, and keep up the good work. I'm happy that you invited me to do this session. Yes.
No problem at all. We're happy to have you.
It was an honor.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Good morning, folks.
Okay, great morning. Rustam Saltwell, the Chancellor of Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, Canada. We've got Fireproof coming up next, and as you can see, AZ, we have...
Yeah, we have Timothy.
Coming up next, Fireproof. Stay tuned.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Drink healthy. Reduced sugar, chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors. Drink the more healthy way. It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby. 25% less sugar, chubby. Be active, be healthy. Drink lots of chubby. Kicking football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun. It's chubby. Reduced sugar, chubby keeps you cool and refreshed. It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby. 25% less sugar, chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun. It tastes so yummy, chubby. Drink the more healthy way.
And we are back. It's time for Fireproof, and we've got Officer Martin. Morning, Tip.
Hey, Jamster. Morning. Hey, Azard. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while since I've been on Fireproof. I was just telling Timothy that usually it's Candy who's here during this time. But I have the opportunity to be here this morning, and yes, I'm grateful. Indeed. Yes. So could you tell us the topic that we're going to be discussing this morning?
We just basically having another segment of question and answers.
Okay, question and answers is fine. It's fine. I mean...
So we could go ahead and give the numbers then. So
let's do that.
Listeners, if you're interested in posing your questions, fire safety, fire adjacent stuff, 466-0989, 662-0989, and 7620989. Give us a call.
Remember, last week we had an influx of questions coming in, so most person the phone lines were still lighting up when we left. So yeah.
Yeah, so guys, call in, ask your questions.
So in the meantime, I just want to highlight that we are currently having a summer safety program. The one held in Nevis is started earlier this week, started on Monday. We had a rest period for the holiday that we had on Tuesday, and then we picked up again Wednesday, Thursday, and today is ending that summer safety program over in Nevis. The days on them that were held in Nevis, we had topics from water safety, the fire side, of course. We had traffic safety. We even had a segment regarding bullying. You know, we recognize that our children, they are faced with bullies in the school. So that was a topic that we engaged the children on to see how best we could curb that aspect. And then we had also first aid. So the students, they were taught how to stop a bleed in the event of someone choking. What can they do to assist that individual? And if anyone needs CPR, you know, so they were very enthused about these particular topics.
We have a caller already.
Yeah.
Caller, you're live on Fireproof.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning,
people.
Morning, sir.
I don't know if you know, but I'm telling you that if one has a vehicle and the battery is in the front under the bonnet of the vehicle where the engine is, and you're going to place the terminal wires on the battery, and you smell gasoline under the bonnet, one has to know exactly which one of the lead goes on the battery first. Because if they put the wrong lead first, then they themselves can get blown up. Now, in a case like that, you're going to put in a fully charged battery under the bonnet where it's supposed to go. Whether you smell gas, yes or not, the first wire attached to the battery is the hot wire, which is the red one, the positive. And then once that is on, then you put on the ground and there will be no sparks. But if you put on the cold wire, which is the ground wire first, and then you go with the hot one after, there you go. Pudo.
You would have some sparking taking place.
Yes. And you know, once gas is escaping, it's in the air.
Of course.
And you don't have to take the match and carry it right where the gas coming, the gas station to get it light, you know. As long as it's in the air, wherever you are and it's close by, you will hear the explosion. So when people place in the wires on the battery, just keep it in mind. This is the correct way to go to save your life and everything. Put on the hot wire first. Then you put on the ground. Never put on the ground first and then bring the hot one, otherwise you're going up the cemetery. So that's all I have. So I don't have no question.
A good bit of advice.
I don't have no question. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thanks much for your contribution.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, if someone connects the battery the wrong way, it sometimes gives off a spark. And if you have gasoline, which is very flammable, and that sparking reaches where that fume is, then you can have an explosion.
Yeah.
And I like to tell persons they might just wake up dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have another caller. Caller, you live on Fireproof.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Fireman.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, you're giving God thanks.
Wonderful.
I live near the station, so whenever I hear your siren, all I just say, Lord have mercy. I don't know where you going, for what?
Hopefully we don't disturb you too much.
No. I want to ask a question. You should be able to help.
Go ahead.
You recommend, it is recommended that we have smoke alarms.
Yes, we
Is
do.
there a particular brand also that you recommend?
No, there isn't any particular brand. There are
There's
quite
much
a
difference
few.
between them?
There are quite a few out there. The difference that the difference that we have in the smoke detectors, you have some that are battery operated. You have some that are wired into an electrical system. For businesses especially, we like to recommend the smoke detectors that are wired into a system. That way you can have an alarm system attached to it, so that when you close up your business at the end of the day, remember no one is going to be in the building. So if any kind of smoke or fire breaks out, then the alarm would pick it up. It would trigger the alarm, and someone who is actually monitoring the system can then call us. When you have that battery operated ones within a business setting, then you leave, you close the doors, you leave. No matter how much smoke is inside there, the alarm will be going off, yes, but no one would be there to hear the alarm. It's only when
They're not loud enough to hear from outside?
No, it's not a audible alarm that is wired into an electrical system. So there would be an annoying beeping noise, yes, but depending on how large your facility is, chances are no one is going to hear that smoke detector going off. It's only when you see the lot of smoke and maybe even the flames coming, whether through the roof or so, then a passerby would say, hey, something is happening over here. Yeah, it's better to have your smoke alarms for businesses, especially through an alarm system. So that's what we're encouraging persons to get an alarm system, a fire alarm system.
The next question has to do with cost. Is it duty free to bring them in?
I do not have the answer for
You should check it out,
that.
because
Yeah,
I was
need to.
inquiring from some business places, and it's 60 something and nearly $70 for one.
Mm-hmm. So
And somebody told me that they're cheap online.
Yeah, they are cheap online. So I would make a note of it so that I can actually go
Yeah, because if it is not, then you could recommend it.
Yes.
Now, the next question. I heard a comment about someone was querying the transportation of potable water, drinking water in the fire tenders. Is that safe? What I mean safe? Would water be contaminated? Would it be safe to use?
Well, what I would recommend.
By the way, is it true that you all are carrying water to places for people?
We are carrying water to communities, but let me be clear on what the procedures are for us to carry water. We, as a fire department, we don't just get up and carry water to the various communities.
Right, I know you
water department is responsible for water distribution throughout the federation, and what happens is that the water department would see a need for a particular community to have additional water supply. And because of whatever issues may be happening at the time, so then they would get in contact with us and ask for some assistance. Then what we do now, we go out and assist water department in the distribution of water. So it's not an initiative that we just take it upon ourselves to get up and do. So it is in close collaboration with the water department. Yes?
Is it treated after you transport it? That's what I want to know too.
No, the water comes straight from the fire hydrant.
The hydrant.
So all it is our tank is just a storage, is storage for the water. So once that water leaves our our tank, we encourage persons to, sterilize the water once they're using it for drinking. Even, well, for me, I don't readily use tap water for drinking purposes, just like that. In terms of water consumption, I sterilize water, whether boil it, etc. I use, island purified, whatever other units out there that provides water. So yes, any distribution, whether it be from our fire tender or the water tanks that water department have and other entities, persons should take precautions once they are consuming the water for drinking purposes.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, thank you for caller for that call.
Yeah, I have a question for you from
Sure.
Where is it? Question is, why isn't it mandatory for all business places to conduct routine fire drills?
Well, we have to go back to legislation, and that is something that we are feverishly trying to get on board. Having legislations, we are currently revising our Fire Act, and with that would come a number of additional initiatives that we would like to see happening as it regards to fire safety. So persons can definitely, once we have everything locked and ready, then you could see where it would be compliant for businesses to have routine inspections, conduct fire drills, be conducting presentations with them so that they can have an idea as to how to keep their business safe. Things like this is what we are looking to put in place.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, okay. So this thing about the water, you were going to suggest something. I don't think you finished the thought. When she asked about the water, what were you going to suggest? I got the impression you were going to suggest something, but then something she said. Were you going to say something like boil water or something? That's what that was.
To consume it, for drinking purposes.
That was my thought. I thought that, you didn't say it, right?
No.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
But the water that would be used from the fire hydrant, would it be, in your perspective, I don't know if you're expert on it.
It's the same water that is coming through your tap.
Oh, it's the same water?
Yeah, but not everybody drink tap water.
Yeah.
Like I said, I for one, I do not readily drink tap water. I might just put a little in my mouth, yes, but for regular drinking purposes, I like to make sure that, I sterilize my water.
And I guess that would just give people maybe an added level of less worry if they're concerned about drinking water from that might be provided from the appliance.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? You could talk about anything else. Anything else in the meantime?
Going back to the summer safety program. Now, the St. Kitts and the St. Kitts we are looking to start our summer safety program from the 12th of this month. So from the 12th to the 14th, it's just 3 days. We would be having our St. Kitts leg of the summer safety program, and this would be. The venue for this is at the Dr. William Connor School, and we are encouraging persons who have not filled out a form as yet to apply, make an application, come to the fire services, the fire station, and ask for an application form. You register your child. The registration fee is just $20, and the children, we are sure to guarantee that they would be educated. And some of the topics that we are looking to have on the St. Kitts end is similar to that on the Nevis end, where we would have fire safety, of course. We would have the police and the Coast Guard coming to share some information with the children as this is summertime and the children love to go to the beach. So the aspect of keeping them safe while at the beach is something that we look at as well. We recognize that children, they're like sponges.
Yeah.
And when we impart information to children, they can basically go back home and we regurgitate that information to their parents. And, I'm sure some of the parents, they can attest that the children are going to go home and be adamant, especially if they're seeing something that should not be done within the home. They're going to say, well, mommy, daddy, look, you're not supposed to do this. The fire officers said this, or the traffic police says this, the Coast Guard personnel says that. So they would be able to keep us on our toes as well.
Yes.
We have a bunch of calls coming in. Fireproof. Okay, let's go to the other one. Fireproof, you're on. Wow. Fireproof, you're on.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The officer, with regards to whether or not, first question I have. Do our planning regulations require that commercial buildings that provide accommodations, such as hotels or supermarkets, etc., have fire sprinklers in them?
For the sorry, I cannot exactly say what the regulations speak regarding sprinklers for supermarkets, etc., if they must have. But that is something that I could take a note of and look into.
I would appreciate that. You said in response to an earlier inquiry that there are no regulations, there is no legislation mandating the mandatory fire drills in establishments. And then you went on to say that, you're working on legislation when that comes into being. We'll have things like that and outreaches to businesses. You don't need legislation for the fire department to set up a program to interact with businesses in things such as that nature. After all, I'm sure there's no legislation saying you should have a summer schools program. It just needs an initiative in the fire department to go out and educate businesses about what they should do in order to ensure that their buildings, their properties, have proper fire safety measures in them. On the subject of the water that comes out of the fire hydrant is the same water that comes out of anyone's faucet in their bathroom. And there may be people who are more than happy to spend money on water, on bottled water, but as our head of our water department has said often, he himself doesn't drink bottled water because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the water that comes out of the tap. All the water that we consume in trinkets, I am told, is properly filtered and chlorinated before it is sent out to consumers. So it's not a case that because it comes out of the fire truck, that we should take extra precaution when we consume it. Thank you very much.
So wait, you're saying the actual tap, the public water supply is actually filtered as well? That's what you're saying? Hello? Maybe he's gone. Okay. Let's take another call. Caller, go right ahead. You're on Fireproof.
Yes. Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
I was wondering what the current building specs say in relation to the number of stories in view of the equipment that the fire department currently has. Is there a limiting factor there? And if it is that you want to build higher than what we currently have, how would it be very costly to ramp up your equipment to deal with any eventuality with those higher buildings? That's one question. When it comes to our planning, you notice that we do things like having gas stations right next to the touchdown zone on our runway. I see now construction at the other end, the Connery end, right on the runway. I don't know if there are international standards when it comes to these things. I don't know what's going on there.
Construction of
some
what?
kind of construction activity, right? But are there particular regulations which prevent these kinds of things, from happening? It's unfortunate that it has already happened, so I guess we can't do anything about it. But certainly, if it comes to further building close to something as important as an airport, runway, and other facilities like that, there should be, I think, fire safeguards in place for that. And the last thing, I know, and you probably dealt with this at some point, but in our case, in some cases, overseas, for instance, the fire department is essentially volunteer because it is felt that they don't have enough work to do. I don't know if that is the case here, but could you inform us as to what a day is like in the fire department if there is no fire? I mean, do the guys and girls sit around playing dominoes, or what actually happened? Yes, there would be training activities and so on sometimes, but
clearly,
if you could give us an idea of what happened.
Well, clearly that's going to be another show. You're going to have to do this again because it's 10:01. But actually, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We should have gotten that question earlier, actually. Yeah. The lighter side of being a fireman. So,
I mean, we had a whole program, I guess, with the day in the life of fireman. Yeah. Remember when Yolanda was the...
Yeah.
But I guess for the interest, so you could...
We can do it again because clearly people are interested. Yeah.
People want to know.
Doesn't have to be all... Because I'm sure people want to know what you guys do.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, I know when I used to go visit my uncle, he used to... They'd be playing drafts and... stuff. They had a pool board. You guys have the pool board stuff?
No, it's
no, yeah. They used to have a pool board.
Yeah.
No more pool.
Okay. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for Fireproof and Island Tea for today.
Yes. Join us on Monday, guys.
Okay. So we're gonna have a part 3 next week then.
Probably.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. All right, everyone. That's gonna do it for Fireproof and Island Tea. Hope everyone has a safe week, and that goes to
fireproof weekend
and your department as well.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Found the sound 98.9 FM.
You ever hear earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earth."